Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Frustrated to Fluent. I'm your host, Devon Bruce, and we help non-native English-speaking medical professionals in healthcare communicate effectively with their patients, colleagues, and staff. And today I have the lovely Adriana McNeil. She is an English communication coach, helping non-native English-speaking clinical study leaders enhance their communication skills so they can lead effectively and improve patient care. As a non-native English speaker herself, she has a very deep understanding of the challenges non-native speakers face. She has over 25 years of experience as an ESL teacher and over 15 years as an interpreter for the NHS, facilitating communication between doctors, patients, and healthcare staff. So, Adriana, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show.
Thank you. And as a non-native English speaker, I'm super excited just because you know exactly what the listeners face. So, as a non-native English speaker, what specific challenges did you face when trying to articulate your expertise in English?
The whole journey started for me kind of early, like most people who are non-native English speakers, they kind of start learning at school, but you're not really using it properly. So then the learning is kind of prolonged and nothing happens. So it was going on like this for a while. I kind of accidentally became a teacher because I was helping out my friends. It wasn't difficult for me to learn English. So I decided to study English more. And then I sort of was offered the job of a teacher and I became one, which seems like an easy thing to do, but it wasn't all plain sailing at all. I was good at explaining things, but I was always nervous when it came to speaking, you see? So this is where the non-native speaker faces. Basically, you have to speak. So as there are four elements to learning a language, you've got reading, you've got writing, you've got listening and speaking. And the most difficult, speaking, I'll leave it last to discuss, but basically reading is easy enough because whatever reading piece in front of you, you've got time basically to think about it, to understand, to process whatever information is there. So relatively easy. Then when you've got writing, it's kind of similar for that part that you've got time, but it's a bit more difficult because you have to now suddenly create the content. So you're responsible for that part, and it does require some knowledge. Listening, well, you kind of listen and that's it. And theoretically, it's very easy, but it isn't because you're not producing anything. But if the speaker is a bit unclear, or they've got a strong accent, or they speak too fast, or something, that stops you from understanding. This is where the problem starts. I had a little bit of a problem with that as well, and this is where people struggle. So my challenges were pretty much the same as any other typical non-native speaker has, right? And most of my clients complain about the same thing. So this is kind of reassuring that I'm helping them with the right thing because I was doing exactly the same. But the biggest challenge for everybody is speaking, because here, what we have to do is now all of a sudden we have to put all our knowledge together. And this is where we panic. Well, I did definitely. And quite a lot of people struggle with that too, because you panic about the fact that you have a difficulty to express your thoughts clearly and confidently, obviously, because people translate in their heads. And then they worry that what if I forget words? What if I make a fool of myself? What if, I make mistakes? Like, will I look like incompetent and everything? So this is the difficulty, and it's huge. And because you panic about it, you are not clear because, well, you can't do both at once. So then it impacts your confidence. And because your confidence is impacted, well, obviously you don't think clearly and you panic and it doesn't work altogether. It's a vicious circle and loads of people go through that, unfortunately.
So, yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because I just had someone in our community. I have a free community for healthcare professionals, and they had a goal to speak up at a meeting. And this was one of their biggest fears of speaking up, but she challenged herself and she did it. And she made a post about it and we all congratulated her. But just the fact that this was such a big issue for her and she did it, I can see just how nerve-wracking that can be. But what techniques or strategies do you use to help non-native speakers improve their communication skills?
Okay, so I think what's super useful is something as obvious as preparation. And if you prepare yourself for the situation that you anticipate, it's going to be helpful because half the job is done, right? You don't have to think, you don't have to translate in your mind, and it's going to be easy. It's going to have more flow, it's going to be smoother and more intentional. So that's an obvious part. Practice in a situation that is as similar to the real situation as possible. For example, you could do it in front of a mirror, or you could do it in front of a friend or a coach, or you can rehearse by recording yourself and then checking how it worked and what went wrong, what went right, right? And then you can think, okay, well, that didn't work out. I need to work on this one and let's try again. And because of that, it's going to be easier because you are going to be not as nervous because you've done it before. But there is another part that I think is super important is what happens in our mind. And this is something
So
I
true.
didn't have. This is
Yeah.
something when I was learning that was just not a thing I focused on. And so with how we see things is sometimes very negative, sometimes it's quite positive, but mostly people are negative, and if they have a chance to be critical of themselves, quite often they are, right? So and they also happens when we imagine the situation when we are nervous, right? So we usually imagine the negative situation. What's the worst that can happen, right? But it's kind of good to think about it, to have it over with, done and finished, and we don't have to think about it. So when you think that way, you can see, okay, what can happen? I can forget stuff, right? I might forget my words. I might not be able to explain it. I might not know the terminology. But then, so what? Right? What the idea is not to panic, but quite the opposite. Let's be calm about it and let's find a solution instead. Okay. So if this happens, what can I do? So like if you have it in your mind, so if it actually happens, then you're not going to panic. You're going to do it. You can rephrase it. You can explain it in different ways. You can use a definition. You can even ask people like think also that way. If you make a mistake or if you say something or you forget how to say something in your own language, right? You are not going to panic as much. And this is the thing. Realize that
Yeah.
if you make a mistake in English, it doesn't mean that you're incompetent. It means that you forgot this particular one bit and your career is not over. Nobody thinks
Right.
that way. So this is the thing. So let's think what's the worst. And then if you find a solution, to this particular problem that might happen, the negativity is finished. Okay. And you can choose to be positive. So at this moment, think about like, what's the best that can happen here? Okay. And then enjoy the moment. Enjoy the fact that it could be a really good, let's say, presentation. Okay. It could like put you on this on the stage for people like, oh yeah, she's got something valuable to say. And also think how good that would make you feel and how empowering that would be. So instead of panicking and being negative about it and looking for faults, no, just address the faults and then think positively how it would be if it worked well, because that's going to put you in a very good mood and
It will.
it's easier. It is easier
Right.
to speak then, right? So
It's
just
so
focus
true.
on it. And
Yeah.
going back with a negative thing, this is something like so many people do this. They do a horrible self-talk sort of thing
That's so true.
themselves. They say like, I'm not good enough. The level of English is not high enough. My colleagues are better. I could do more. I should practice more. I should do blah, 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 right? It's like so negative. But what does it do when you do this? You are basically setting yourself for failure because your performance will suffer. If you feel negatively about everything, if you believe you're limited, well, you're going to be limited. Your performance is not
Right.
going to be good, right? And also, when you are anxious, your fears are bigger. And what's good about you, the strengths you've got, they're going to be smaller. But the good news is, instead of letting them control you, you've got the power to place your energy somewhere else. So that's what I mean. Instead of thinking what can go wrong, you can think what can go wrong to be ready to prepare yourself for the situation just for a brief moment, not to develop emotions about it, but to be ready. Yeah. So in case I forget, I've got notes. I'm ready. Okay. Or if I don't know some phrases, I can look up, but I can prepare them. I can have them ready for myself in case I need them. So this is how you can prepare yourself. What goes wrong, but let's find a solution case instead of let's panic, right? And then focus on kind of being good to yourself, because I think nobody is perfect. There's no way that everybody, even the fantastic speakers, they also have bad days. So it's going to go wrong somewhere for everybody at some point. And the thing is not to criticize yourself, because criticism doesn't motivate.
That is so true. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Now, can you share a story or an example of someone that you helped and detailing their transformation, and how did that impact their career? Because you work with a lot of people in high stakes jobs, and you also work in a very high stakes industry. So, yeah, can you please share a story and how you helped a non-native English speaker transform their career?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to actually say two, because they are a bit different, and there are two different aspects that they sort of cover. So, I have learned through my own experience that learning a different language and working in it is difficult. It's not an easy thing at all, and hats off to everybody who is actually doing it, because it's quite an achievement. It comes down to confidence, because their English usually is at quite high level. They either don't realize it's that high level, or they just didn't have a chance to use it that much, so they don't know, right? And it's also the self-limiting beliefs that they think they are not good enough. So for instance, this particular client, when I spoke to them, the situation was like, I need to improve my English. Okay, but it turned out that the English wasn't the problem. It was the confidence. And within the conversations, it turned out that there was a dream job for this person, but the person didn't even want to apply. And it's like, what? So you've got this, you would love this, but you're not going to even apply. Why not? And the person said, because my English is not good enough. And it's like, oh, let's change that. Let's change that.
I hear that all the time. Yes.
Related.
Yes, I hear that all the time.
We worked on it. Didn't even take long. We've worked on some limiting beliefs that the person had, and the confidence altogether. If you have the right phrases, and if you practice some of the situations, because English is such a big thing, we don't need to improve everything to show results. We can narrow down. Instead of going that, we can go that. We can narrow down what needs to be improved, and then if you focus on exactly those things, it's going to show quicker, and it's going to make a big impact. So after working together, obviously, not only did the person apply for the job, but they also got it, and they moved away abroad. Yes. And it was amazing.
Great.
I was so proud of them, because it was just so satisfying. And the other person, because it's a completely different area, it's also confidence, obviously. But the thing is, it was in relation to talking in front of a camera. The person wanted to do podcasts. I recognized it instantly. There's a passionate sort of person that wants to talk about patients and well-being and this and that, and they've got so much knowledge and so much information, but they're not saying it because they're afraid of talking in front of a camera. And it's like, let's do something about it. So we addressed again the issues that are sort of deep down. So for instance, if you need to record things, but you're afraid, well, let's do smaller recordings, smaller steps, achieve a little bit here and there and whatnot. And you have to show up and talk and not be scared of it, right? And not like lose words. And so we did this. So when you compare the videos at the beginning and the videos later on, the difference was super huge. So I was again very proud, because also what came apparent is the fact that what's more important, the pre-speaking nerves or the message you've got to say to people because you want to and it's going to improve their lives, right?
That's so amazing. That's
Yes.
so amazing.
Yeah. So different things. You see, one is a dream job, for instance, and the other one is not a dream job, but it's like doing something for the good of people. And I thought I am so happy to be proud to be part of it because the person is doing it. So it's not me. I just helped a little bit. The person has managed to create this transformation.
Absolutely. Yes. And I would say that's the thing that I can definitely relate to you on is that it is so rewarding helping people in this way because you can see and feel their brilliance. But because they feel like they don't have the confidence to speak it in English, we
Mhm.
don't get a chance to see it. And
Yeah.
so to help someone with that is the best feeling in the world. So
Mhm.
I totally understand that. And I want to thank you as a fellow English communication coach because you are out here changing people's lives. Because one of the things that I sometimes hear, and I don't know if you hear that, well, what's the big deal? It's just English. And it's like, well, runs a lot deeper than that, especially for the both of us who work with people in healthcare. It's deeply transformative. So, yeah, I just wanted to thank you because you're out here changing lives. I think that's amazing. Now, before we wrap up, what are three actionable tips that non native English speakers can implement today to start improving their professional communication?
Like what I do usually with my clients, I would ask them basic questions. It's going to sound kind of funny, but it's fundamental. Okay, they need to know what they want. So basically, what do you want? What kind of goal do you want to achieve? Because improving English is not helpful here. That's too wide. You need to specifically know what you want. So you need to think what skills exactly are going to help you get there. And also the set of skills is going to change because if you might have like one big goal. I want to become whoever, let's say, you choose the kind of job you want to do, right? That's fine. But to do that, you will have to have like it goes down sort of like an umbrella thing. You need a set of skills in this and set of skills in this and whatnot. So obviously working on, in stages that that's what I mean, that the goal will change. But basically you need to know what you want because if you don't know what you're working on. And working on general English is not going to bring you any results. So it's a fundamental question. So what do you want? And then why do you want it? We need this question answered because this is our motivation. If, nobody is obviously learning new things takes time and effort. And obviously it's financial as well. So nobody's going to do any hard work and get out of their comfort zone and everything if they don't know why they are doing it. And basically, they need to know how important the results are to them. And even more importantly, what that will enable them to do. If they know that, that's going to be like a good push, right? And then obviously it comes down to the strategy. So how can you achieve it? It's a cliche, right? But it's a journey, okay? And you will get there quicker and if you know how to get there. So if you've got like a roadmap, you've got your destination, you've got your roadmap, you've got your manageable steps, and hopefully you've got help as well, like a guide, navigator, whatever, coach, right? So it's going to be so much quicker. Ask yourself those three basic questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how can you get it? And then obviously study the things that will bring you the skills you need. Okay, because without that, obviously, that's not going to happen. So study this because if you want to show progression, this is it. But then also remember, use safe environment to practice. So again, you can do this either on your own or with a friend or with a coach, but practice, 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 and record yourself. That's one of the sort of great ways of finding out because then you can ask for like feedback, people who are relevant, and then take the feedback and learn from it because it's not going to be criticism. This is going to be empowering stuff like this is great, but this might need a bit of work. And then, for the future, you know what to do. So these would be my three tips, what you could do to today, ask yourself those questions, study and get feedback, as in like practice in the right situations and get feedback.
That is incredible. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I know that this is going to help people because as a non-native English speaker yourself, you know exactly what the problems are and how they feel. And so
Yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. Now, where can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So I am there under Adriana McNeil and English Communication Coach. They can find me on my website, which is adrianamcneil.com. And also, there's a YouTube channel I started recently, so there's not much on it, but it started and there will be things happening there. So this one is Adriana McNeil Coaching. So it's Adriana, Adriana, and McNeil, McNeil.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being on. And I want to thank all of you for listening and tuning in. Now, I do have a free community for healthcare professionals. So if you are struggling with your English and you're feeling stuck, please come and join us. It's free and we have so many resources. We have live events, we have challenges, we have 1 minute English that's been pretty effective. So you can start improving your English in 1 minute or less. So please come and join us, and you can join us at englishcommunication.com. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.